Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into OpenAI Codex. Think of this as your complete masterclass. We're going to take you from being a total beginner to someone who can expertly orchestrate whole teams of AI agents. Seriously, we're going from square one to you commanding a digital software team.
So, here's the game plan. We've got 6 stages to walk through. We'll kick things off with what modern Codex is actually all about, then get you up and running in literally minutes. From there, we'll explore the best ways to interact with it, and then we get to the really powerful stuff, how to assemble and manage your own team of AI agents like a pro.
All right, let's dive right in. Look, to really get a handle on today's Codex, you have to forget everything you might remember from a few years back, because it is a completely different beast now. The name might be the same, but trust me, the game has fundamentally changed.
You see, the original Codex back in 2021, it was basically the world's best autocomplete. I mean, it was amazing for its time, but that's what it did. Today's Codex, it's a full-blown, cloud-based AI software engineering agent. It doesn't just suggest the next line of code, it can manage the entire development lifecycle all on its own, working in the background in its own secure environment.
And that brings us to this absolutely crucial concept, agentic coding. This is a total paradigm shift. You're no longer just prompting an AI for little code snippets. You are delegating entire software tasks to an autonomous agent. An agent that can read your whole code base, make a plan, write the code, run the tests, and then report back with the results. It's like assigning a ticket to a human developer and letting him get to work.
Now you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds incredibly powerful and probably really complicated to set up, right? Well, that's the wild part. Despite all this power, getting started is unbelievably simple. You can go from zero to delegating your first real task in less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee.
It's really just these 3 simple steps. First, you install the command line tool. You can use npm, homebrew, whatever you like. Second, you just run the Codex command, and it'll pop open a browser for you to sign in with your ChatGPT account. That's it. No messing around with API keys. And third, just go into one of your own project folders and give it a task. Something straightforward like Codex, add pagination. And boom, you're now officially managing an AI agent.
Okay, so you're set up. Now let's talk about the different ways you can work with Codex. Because it's not just one single tool, it's more like an entire ecosystem. A huge part of mastering it is knowing which of its 4 different interfaces or surfaces is the right tool for the job you're trying to do.
So you've got options. For those big, complex jobs where you're running lots of tasks in parallel and need to visually review the results, there's a dedicated Codex app. If you're a terminal junkie who lives on the command line, the CLI is going to feel right at home. For quick edits and tight collaboration right inside your code, you've got the IDE extension. And for those huge, long-running tasks, you can just use Codex Cloud. It's like a fire and forget mode, where you delegate the job and let it run.
And you also get to choose your model. The best way to think about this is like you're staffing a project. For your most complex, hairy problems that need serious top-tier reasoning and planning, you bring in the flagship, GPT-5.4. But for the more routine, well-defined tasks, you use GPT-5.4 Mini. It's way faster, much more cost-effective, and it's absolutely perfect for that specialized work.
And this is where we really level up. This is where we go from working with a single AI assistant to commanding an entire team of AI specialists. I'm not exaggerating when I say this is the single biggest unlock for your productivity. This is where true orchestration begins.
I mean, think about the old way of doing things. It was all sequential, right? You'd ask the AI to write a function, you wait. Then you ask it to write a test, you wait again. It's just slow. So why would we keep working that way when you can parallelize everything just like you would with a real software team?
The answer is the subagent. Now, what is that? Think of it as a fresh, single-purpose AI worker. You can spin up a subagent on the fly, give it one very specific piece of a larger project, and it'll just go and do that one thing in its own clean, isolated environment. It won't get confused or distracted by anything else.
And this lets you build this incredibly powerful architecture that some people are calling the McKinsey model. Here's how it works. You use the big, powerful GPT 5.4 model to act like your project manager. It takes a high-level feature request, thinks about it, and then breaks it down into smaller tasks. Then, it delegates all that work to a whole swarm of those efficient GPT 5.4 mini subagents who can handle the coding, the testing, and the documentation all at the same time.
All right, so you've got your team of agents. Now, mastering Codex is about becoming a true orchestrator. And that means going way beyond just writing simple prompts. It's about learning how to configure the environment and build reusable, totally reliable workflows. This is what separates the pros from the dabblers. So to make this whole process dependable, you have to adopt some professional best practices. You've got to use configuration files for consistent results. Set up your personal defaults globally, and then have project-specific rules right inside the repo. Always, and I mean always, have your agents write and run tests for their work. And finally, connect Codex to the tools you already use, like Jira or GitHub, using something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. It's just a secure way for the AI to get real-world context for the tasks it's working on.
To give your project a solid baseline, you can create a special file called AGENTS.md. Just think of this file as a permanent set of instructions or ground rules. Any Codex session you run in that project will read this file first. It's like giving your AI team a permanent project brief that they never forget.
And you can take this idea even further by packaging your most common workflows into skills. A skill is basically a reusable, installable plugin for your agents. It bundles up all the instructions, scripts, and documentation so that your agents can reliably perform really complex, multi-step tasks. Things like migrating a database or translating a design from a Figma file directly into code.
Okay, let's wrap this up by taking a look at where all of this is headed. Because honestly, understanding the trajectory is just as important as knowing how to use the tools today. Because the pace of change here is just relentless.
It is really hard to overstate how fast things are improving. I mean, we've gone from GPT 5.2 to today's GPT 5.4 in just a few months. And each of those steps wasn't a small tweak, it was a massive leap forward in reasoning and the ability to act as an agent.
But, and this is important, while these tools are incredibly powerful, they are still partners, not replacements. A score of almost 57% on a benchmark for professional-level tasks is absolutely state-of-the-art, but it also means it fails on nearly half of those tasks. So human oversight, your expertise, is still totally critical.
But that said, the impact on productivity is just undeniable. As this developer on Reddit pointed out, the gains you get in performance for the cost are just massive. It's not about replacing developers, it's about radically amplifying what a single developer or a small team is capable of accomplishing. Which kind of leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. As these tools keep evolving from just being fancy autocompletes into these sophisticated teams of AI agents, maybe the most valuable engineering skill in the very near future won't be just writing code, but being able to effectively manage, direct, and orchestrate these new digital teams.